am calling to order our special meeting of the Richmond Board of Education. Please stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Bridget, our mission statement, please.
At Richmond Community Schools, we provide a quality education that empowers students to be successful in a global community.
Roll call, please.
Deb Michon?
Here. Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
thanks.
I am virtual in Muskegon, Michigan.
Thank you. Angela Pasito is absent with notice. I am in St. Clair, Michigan, St. Clair County. Kyle Simmons is going to be absent with notice. Danielle Sutton?
I am virtual from Casco in St. Clair County.
Thank you. Margaret?
I think we lost Margaret. She was on and now I don't see her.
Well, I'm here in Casco Township, St. Clair County, attending
Thank you, Sherry.
virtually.
Thank you.
So Brian, do we go on? Do we continue or should we wait for Margaret here? I know she was on, I saw her.
Yeah, I just sent her. Says she's having difficulty logging on. It's up to you. I mean, you technically, you technically have a quorum of the board.
Why don't we give her just a few minutes and then if not, we'll proceed.
Sounds good.
She replied that she's having still trouble, that she's just going to come up to the board office.
Okay, so
Okay.
so we have a quorum.
Okay. At this time, I need a motion to approve the agenda.
I motion to approve the agenda as written.
Do I have support?
Support.
Any
Is that you,
discussion?
Danielle? I'm sorry, was that you, Danielle?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, at this time, we have a presentation.
Hey, let me just get situated here.
So here with us tonight is Nick Mathis and Pat Akerley. Excuse me, I apologize. They have a request for the board to consider. So I believe Nick, yep, there it is. He's got the presentation for the board.
Okay, perfect. Can you guys hear me okay? Okay, perfect.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. So I'm just going to kind of introduce myself and then I'll let Pat introduce himself and then we'll kind of go from there. But as many of you may know me, I'm Nick Mathis. I'm the head robotics coach at the school, and I've also been involved with the football program for a long time now. So tonight we're going to have two proposals for you, a recommendation of the committee that we met with last week. So the first one is going to be kind of over rededicating Ben Bolt Stadium and then renaming the football field in honor of Coach Coker. So I'll kind of hand it over to Mr. Akerley now.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for hearing us out tonight for our proposal. we'll start out with the Ben Bolt Stadium part. We understand that the stadium was rededicated some years ago, so it is still a current naming. But we kind of felt with asking for the separate approval for naming the field after John Coker, that there was a little bit of concern that Ben Bolt's stadium would be lost in that. So we kind of wanted to honor that with this proposal. A little background about Ben Bolt. I don't think a lot of people know who he was or why the stadium was named after him. That's another reason we want to do that. He was a teacher and coach, football coach in the Richmond Community Schools from 1928 to 1941, a teacher again from 1959 to 1961. As a football coach, he led the high school to several Tri-County League championships. He also served as the Justice of the Peace for Richmond, and for 18 years, he owned Ben Bolt's service station located on the northwest corner of Gratiot and Main in what is Muttonville. His wife, Mary Lou, was also a teacher at Richmond. The football stadium is currently dedicated in his name. Our proposal is that we want to kind of rededicate the stadium to Ben Bolt just to honor that tradition and kind of tie that in with the ribbon cutting ceremony that was being planned for the new field, the turf field. There's gonna be a ribbon cutting plan for that we missed due to COVID. So we kind of want to tie that in along with the separate proposal of the Coker Field. Nick, did you want to take over the cost after that?
Yeah, sure. So I know at least for, and Pat, forget, what did I do here? Sorry about that. At least for the recent time, there was a sign that was on the fences that, you know, labeled Ben Bolt Stadium, but at least in the most recent years when the new fences were put up around the stadium, that sign was removed. So kind of what we're looking to do is get Ben Bolt a brass plaque with, you know, the information of who he's about, kind of the information that we just listed in the previous slide, and put that outside of the stadium. So, you know, whether it's students or fans or people from other cities entering the stadium, they know why the stadium was named after Ben Bolt and kind of some information about him. And then we're also looking to get a steel sign created that would read Ben Bolt Stadium to put on top of the concession stand and entrance into the stadium. So the picture that we're kind of looking at is right here. Now, please note that this image is not a rendering or a proof of what we're looking to get put up there. It's just strictly to show the location of the sign. So essentially it would just be a flat steel sign that would read Ben Bolt Stadium that would look similar to this, but would obviously look more professional and whatnot. You know, an item that you would see on a stadium like that. So we're looking at approximately about $2,000 from the people that I've talked to and the people that Pat have talked to as well. You know, we're in the process of getting that official quote right now. And the funds for this project will be raised privately. So this rededication will be at no cost to the district. Kind of what Pat stated too, you know, upon this approval, it really becomes a priority for us. It's definitely a need to have this completed by the first home game, with the goal to tie in with the ribbon cutting ceremony at the first home game as well. And like I stated, this will be completed by that date to have those two tie in together. So I think that's all we have for the first presentation. So if there's any questions for the board at this time, we're more than welcome to answer them. Okay,
it's good.
Yep. If there's no further questions, Ms. Michon, are we okay to move on to the next presentation?
Yes.
Okay. I kind of didn't mention when I introduced myself, I just assume everyone knows who I am, but my name is Pat Akerly, and I was John's program coordinator for the football program. I think that went through several names over the years, but basically what that allowed John to do and the coaches to do was coach on the field and not worry about any of the things outside of the field. That was to allow, in John's mind, to really kind of draw in top coaches. If you looked at our sideline, every single assistant coach on that sideline that John had picked were all head coaches in their own right from various places, some of them state champion coaches. So he really brought one of the best coaching programs to Richmond, even though we were a smaller district. And the help that I gave him allowed for him to take a lot of that off his plate. John was an inspiration to the community and to the student athletes. He coached as a head coach of the Blue Devil football team from 2011 to 2020. He amassed a 72-31 record, including 2 district championships and 9 consecutive trips to the playoffs. However, his biggest battle that we know is the five of those years was his fight against cancer, a battle that he lost on March 3rd of 2021. It didn't matter to John what struggles he was going through as long as he could coach his team. He made practice even when he was sick from his treatment. Some of the games he left the hospital to make it to the field. And there were some games when the fourth quarter clock wound down, his wife Carol drove him back to the hospital. His drive and inspirational spirit gave birth to the phrase, Coker Strong, a model for a team, a school, and a community. We're seeking to dedicate the new artificial turf field in memoriam to John Coker. John's vision for Richmond was to bring all of the amenities of a Division I football program, including a new turf field that would bring new students and families to the Richmond area. He was so proud of his position as coach, he moved his family to Richmond and enrolled his youngest daughter in Richmond schools. His final goal in the months before he died was to be able to coach on that new field. And despite an almost canceled season due to COVID-19, he was able to do that twice. We're proposing to build a brick and steel archway that will be constructed at the field access gate near the concession stand. Nick will have some pictures and he'll explain costs and things like that in a second. And a little bit down the road, we're going to also plan a brick and concrete display constructed inside near the stadium entrance, similar to the one that Algonac has in A, but ours will be a little bigger. And I feel of more use down the road. We're hoping that brass plaques can be attached to it all the way around over the years as other dedications happen. Or, for example, if a soccer coach or a band director or someone was honored, they could put that plaque on that forked R monument, which would be kind of open to all people using the stadium. Nick will go over the costs of that, some of the proposals we got. He's really knowledgeable about that. He ran a lot of those down. Nick?
Yeah, so one thing that I did just want to add briefly was there also will be a bronze plaque that will be created for Coach Coker, and that will be placed on the monument of one of the pillars that I'm going to show in the next picture. So this is the proposed archway that we're looking to get. So essentially this gate right here on the left side is going to be the gate that is mainly used for the golf cart to enter and exit to the field. It is directly inside of the entrance to the left if you walk into the football field. So on the front side, it would read Coker Field. And then on the back side, it would say Home of the Blue Devils with 2 R with pitchforks. These are actual renderings from the company, but these pictures are not to scale because I just took the proof and put them on a picture to kind of give you a visual of what it would look like at the actual stadium. But these are what the archway will look like. Kind of going into cost, we received 2 quotes for the archway, both ranging approximately $20,000. The quote that you received after correspondence with the committee that we met with last week, curb appeal would be the first option to correlate with the school's contractors. And I'll let Mr. Walmsley kind of talk about that in a second. But, curb appeal is who the school has used. I know curb appeal is who the robotics team is using for the bond project for the new sign that's going outside of the STEM center. So they're definitely a reputable organization that the school has used previously. Like I said, with the partnership with the school's contractors, we think that this might come out a tad cheaper. But again, I'll let Mr. Walmsley kind of note on that when we finish this presentation. But and again, this project will be funded privately and will be at no cost to the district. Timeline wise, again, this is really, at least for the archway, something that's really important, at least to Pat and I, that we really get this archway completed before that first home football game. I think it would be a great thing for the community to not only honor John's life and his time that he spent at Richmond, but also, tie it in with the ribbon cutting ceremony of the new field and the rededication of the stadium. I think it would be a really cool event to have at that first home football game this fall. And again, like Pat stated, the Forked Arm Memorial will progress once the archway and entrance are completed, and will be more of a phase 2 of this project. And that's kind of mainly because of the companies that Pat and I had reached out to. We were having difficulty finding a company that one, would take on the project, and two, to answer the phone, frankly, just due to the material shortage and labor shortage that's currently being seen this summer due to COVID. They were already booked out for that meeting. So that's kind of what we're looking at for that. So, and then the letters of recommendation that you guys should have received in your board packet were from multiple community members, coaches that coached with John, former players with John, and so forth. If there's any additional letters requested, we have many other people that would be more than willing to write one, just due to the time crunch of trying to get this approved. That's who we had at that moment. So at this time, if there's nothing else that Pat would like to add, that is the end of the second presentation, and we are more than welcome to any questions or concerns.
I'm ready for questions.
I have one. Do you know how you're going to raise funds? Do you already have some of that in the works?
The people that I've talked to, some of the bigger sponsors around town that are very interested in donating, they just said let them know what the costs are going to be to decide how much they want to donate. Family members and just former teammates, we really don't see fundraising to be a problem. We'll probably set up a type of GoFundMe or something to that effect. We also talked about last week, I think Margaret had mentioned possibly setting up a John Coker Memorial Fund at the school. I don't know the details on that. Nick might be able to fill you in a little bit, so that whatever funds are raised go directly into that account, and any overages stay with the school for future maintenance of the brick or the monument itself.
Yeah, just kind of to add to that, that was one of my questions that I was going to ask the board and Tammy if she's on tonight. But, we are going to plan on raising this privately, but if we were able to, we'd like to set up an account with the financial district of the school to, kind of have the money stay in there and then pay out of that account, just so that way, because it is for the school, if businesses are to donate, one, it would be tax writable, as well as, we're making sure that we're crossing everything there and doing everything properly that way.
We just want to be really transparent with any funds coming in, that they go directly to the project and then stay with the school, so that we're just, we want everyone to see where their money's going, basically.
Correct. And then if anything was to happen to the archway or the monument or the brass plaques, and it needed to be renovated or replaced or anything of that sort, those funds would come out of that account that we would set up at the school.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Mrs. Michon.
Yes. Nick, can you hang on a minute, Margaret? Nick, can you pull the PowerPoint down now
Yeah.
so we can see people?
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
I guess that question that they just brought up about the account and that maybe should be directed to Brian or Tammy, if that's something that the board, Sherry, that's a good question. And I don't know that we can do that. So I guess we'd have to ask the people that know.
Can you hear me? I'm in Tammy's office, so can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. We could set up an internal account with it designated solely to be for the John Coker Memorial Fund. And then the funds that are raised in this account would go to pay for the actual monument or the memorial itself, as well as if the funds are in that account, then they would just stay there for any future repairs on that account. At some point though, if there are no funds in that account after it's been built, just as with everything, it becomes a district obligation of our equipment, whatever it's, maintenance.
Yeah, and we would definitely plan to have an extra amount of money in there when the project is completed. So that way for any renovations that would need to happen, that there would be money there to be replaced.
So I'll interject here. Nick had mentioned and Pat about coordinating with the district contractors. So after our last board meeting, but before we had the subcommittee, I took it upon myself to contact our current contractors, Auk Construction, as well as French and Associates, who does our design work, asking them, is it possible that this could be put in the scope of work with existing contractors we already have? Our existing mason that we have a contract with, our existing, what other fields that are that need to be worked on for this monument? And the reply was yes, they could do it. They could invoice us or keep this as a separate log so that it wouldn't come out of the bond dollars. It would just be charged to the account that we designate for this program if the board chooses to go down that road and we want to do it this way. The other aspect that we looked at was, could we use any of the existing resources? For instance, there's usually an 8 to 10 week lead time on mason brick work. At the time of our subcommittee, we have ordered blue brick that we have to order in a certain quantity in order to get the cheapest rate. So it's kind of the blue brick. If you drive by the end of the elementary school, you'll see these blue brick squares on the back, on the side of the building. It's kind of an accent piece. So that at this committee meeting, I brought that up as they believed they had enough blue brick to be able to do this two monument. However, as I sent the drawings to Dan and Jerome and Jerry McClellan, I always screw up his name, from Auk, the concern is that blue brick doesn't have a corner to it, and so they'd have to special order brick for that corner. But there are brick colors that are stock that we could get, and they all agreed that we could get it in time to do the project, so it was completed by that August 26th or whatever that first home game is, 20th or whatever. So the time is of the essence. There were some things that the architect had noted that we want to make sure, however depth we're going down at roughly 36, 42 inches, that we are that far away from the track to prevent any damages from the track to the track. You know, Nick and I went out after our meeting, we walked it. We don't see any problem. It actually might kind of look really nice, kind of set aside from the fence line. So everything is doable. It's just a matter of starting this project and I know this community will raise the funds, so I don't have any doubt about that one, because John was very well loved in this community. But that would be the risk that the board does pose, that if the money is not raised and we start the project, we have to pay the bill. So that would be the only risk you guys have as a board. And I think Nick's and Pat's estimate that they got from the two companies that are in your board packet was pretty much spot on to what the architect and the construction company were estimating the project would be. Obviously, if we can get things cheaper, you know, at a cost, or if it's already within some scope of work that it's a reduced rate, it's going to benefit everybody in this project. So I think I hit all my points. Did I forget anything, Nick? When we talk, I think.
No, I think we're, for the most part, pretty good. So.
Yeah.
I think one of the benefits of that, Brian, also is you had mentioned before, if we go through the contractors and they invoice that the project can get started. If we go through private, if we go outside of it to the ones that Nick got, we have to come up with the funds, I think half up front. So we'd have to fundraise first, and that would probably put us outside our timeline for August 26th.
And just so the board knows what I mean by that is typically we get billed by the contractors once it's signed. It's probably a month after they've done work, maybe a month and a half, by the time it goes through all the checkpoints to make sure the work got done. So if this is completed in August, there's a possibility the bill's not coming in until September, which, as Pat said, could give them an extra month of fundraising. So
yeah, and frankly, I don't think it's going to take us even till then. So
I don't think we'll need that much time, but that's a nice cushion to have if we
for sure
have any glitches, or we have to raise additional funds for unseen costs or anything like that.
Okay, are there any other questions from the board? For either, anybody?
Ms. Michelle, I do just have one quick question for Brian or Mr. Walmsley. If we do decide to go down the route of using the school's current contractors, I did speak with Tim from Curb Appeal last week, and he just asked that, as soon as possible after it's approved, to set up a meeting with Auk French and then you and I, just to kind of get everybody on the same base and note the timelines that the Archway would have to be done to be able to get the sign up top completed by that August 20th date, I think is what we gave Tim. So that's the only thing that I would ask on your end, that we kind of get the ball rolling on if it's approved.
No problem. And just so the board knows, when I talked to Dan Jerome last week, they've done a lot of work with Curb Appeal. So they've done a lot of coordinating efforts with them. So this isn't a new company they have to deal with.
Okay, are there any other questions?
No, but Mrs. Michon, just to make everything legal, I joined the meeting in the city of Richmond, Macomb County. Had issues at home, came into town, had issues in town. Now I'm here. So just to make it clear where I'm at virtually. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, at this time, we're open for public comments. Are there any public comments? If so, please state your name and you will have 3 minutes to address the board. Any public comments? There being no public comments, we will move on to our action items. I need a motion. In a minute. I'm working off of two things here. I need a motion to approve of the board's subcommittee's recommendation to review and rededicate the athletic stadium.
I motion to approve the Board of Education Subcommittee's recommendation to review/rededicate the athletic stadium with a sign to honor Ben Bolt as outlined in the attached documentation. Furthermore, the board directs the superintendent to coordinate and oversee the wording and installation of said sign.
Do I have a second?
Support.
Any discussion?
I just want to, on behalf of Kyle and I, who sat in the committee, and thank Mr. Reinhardt, Mr. Walmsley, who attended the meeting, Mr. Akerly and Nick Mathis. Outstanding work, gentlemen. An outstanding thing for just a great human being. Ben Bolt did great work for Richmond schools, and to be able to rededicate and put him within the stuff that we want to do with Mr. Coker is excellent. So thank you.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, I don't have this one up. I need a second motion. Margaret, I know you have it there in front of you.
I motion to approve the Board of Education Subcommittee's recommendation to dedicate the football/soccer field in honor of John Coker and authorize a memorial monument to be built in the athletic stadium complex as outlined in the attached documentation. Furthermore, the board directs the superintendent to coordinate and oversee the construction of said monument and dedication of the football/soccer field.
Do I
Support.
have a second? Thank you. Any discussion?
Just me again, same thing. Gentlemen, thank you for your work. This is truly a very fitting thing to do for an amazing individual. I personally have known John for 20 years, and no one deserves this more than him. Thank you for your work.
Just thank all of
Any
you.
other?
Ms. Michon, was that
Yes.
Mrs. Booby who seconded that? I apologize.
Yes.
Yes,
Thank you. Sorry.
no problem. There being no further discussion, do all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. There being no further business of the board, we will adjourn at 6:30.